Hello, guys. I am Shane Davis, 20-year comic book veteran, and we are today talking about a gripe over this holiday weekend from comic retailers as they start to blame and point fingers at one another why sales are down, why retailers are looking at closing down shops or getting out of the direct market altogether. Before we get into it, if you guys will, hit like, subscribe, ring the bell for notifications.
So we had this article from Phil Boyd that we talked about several videos ago, where he basically listed what he thinks are the problems with the industry, talking about how we need to better pricing for the retailers, no more variant covers, blah blah blah. You can go check back on our video about that. He also talks about things like, obviously people being mad about the new diverse characters and so on and so forth. Basically saying that the audience that DC and Marvel is chasing doesn't actually exist. So there have some people who replied to his article, of course, saying things like Jamal Igle says, there are so many variants because retailers keep telling them to make variants. It's okay, see guys, you actually have to hire an artist to make the variant appear. You don't just magically have a variant cover just poof out of nowhere. So trying to blame the retailers for asking for something when the companies are the ones that can control whether it exists or not is very strange. I mean, for God's sakes, you even have brainiacs like Eric Larson here saying, oh, if you only shop at one local store, you will only see that one cover over there. You won't even know the other covers like this. It's like, hello, Eric. It's 2023, almost 2024. There's this thing called the internet. You can't hide the existence of other cover from other people. And of course, then we have other retailers like Brian Hibbs here, also a long-time retailer, weighing in and basically saying, yeah, I mostly agree with what Phil Ball has to say. That is just an issue that a lot of people are having now with the comic industry. I mean, you even have comic legend Rob Life out here saying, yeah, you can't argue with it, what's happening. Majority of comics haven't been stirring much interest this last year. I'm buying it at all-time low. Yikes. The guy who sold millions upon millions of copies of multiple X-Men and all these titles, created Deadpool, he's like, I don't care about comics, basically. So, Rich Johnson goes on to do more articles where retailers compile their experiences and talk about how they're handling the market right now. Here we have one retailer saying that our overall gross sales have been down since abandoning new comics, but our operating margins are way up. Basically, profitability is way higher after we abandon new comics when we focus on back issues and everything else. Which is not a good thing to be hearing about new comics because you're basically saying, yeah, it actually costs you money to stock it on your shelves. Now, unfortunately, of course, this article brings in some, should I say, more political takes, bring up things like COVID shots, Trump and Biden, and all this stuff, which unfortunately led to Ryan Higgins here, also a retailer, saying things like, yeah, maybe it's a good thing that a bunch of shops are going out of business because if this is your model, maybe it's time to retire. Now he has a fuller post of this on Blue Sky, which Rich Johnson here has kindly compiled for us, and it seems like his take is just pure bigotry from retailers these days. I prefer the whole industry burn tomorrow than side with them. Go back, whatever garbage CGS and Indiegogo, and get out of the industry. Keep publishing this stuff, Rich Johnston. And of course, he also brings up CG again, saying things like, oh, targeted hate groups like CG will pull some fence away from the industry. Basically, they're blaming Comicsgate for people not reading comic book anymore. So that's very strange, you see. You always hear people in the industry saying things like, well, Comicsgate doesn't matter. They're like a small group on the side, this crazy Istaphobic trolls. What they say don't matter, it doesn't affect the industry. And suddenly now what Comicsgate says affects the industry and they're responsible for what happens to it. It's like, oh, pick one, guys.
Well, going back to the ICV2 article that Rob was quote tweeting, the problem is the industry's propped up right now on a lot of variant covers. Why? Because the guts of the books don't matter. But wait, there's woke Captain America, there's whatever girl character they're pushing, or race swap, or gender swap, or Robin's now bisexual, or Superboy's bisexual, or Green Lantern's gay. All of these things. Pride Month, 12 months a year. You can do all that, but and you can make those books, but just like the ICV2 article kind of points out, gay characters, female characters, all of that's great if they're good stories, if they're interesting stories. Just because the character's gay doesn't mean they're interesting. They can be a boring comic book story about a gay superhero. The problem is the content itself. Now everybody's this has been used as sort of like a to galvanize the audience, I guess, or polarize to try to get people to retweet, tweet, talk about what's happening in Spider-Man, or Superman or DC, whatever company, it doesn't really matter, whatever character. It's a tool to try to get people to make headlines. It's controversial, so people are now talking about it. Therefore, people will buy it. There is the argument that this stuff drives fans away. Now, retailers are looking at like, well, we need variant covers, and that's the only thing that's selling. Nobody's actually reading the books. But if the variant cover market blew up tomorrow, these retailers know their business is over. That's it. And it's easier now for retailers to say, if you're going out of business, you can't sell this stuff. Well, you sound like CG. That's a scare tactic. That means quit bitching about the book itself, the content. The content's not the problem. You as a retailer are the problem. That necessarily isn't the case. You can be the best retailer in the world if you sell somebody a bad comic. You're not ever going to convince them it's a good comic and they should buy another. This is the issue. Make good comics, return customers. What's the point? If you don't do that, then you're stuck in the vicious cycle of new number ones over and over and over again. Like we've seen, the new number ones, guess what? Customers catch on to that. And eventually, a new number one doesn't really matter because they can sit out for 6 months. There's a new number one, maybe 12 months, new number one. Vicious cycle. So the industry's at a really weird point where now retailers are starting to become more and more vocal as some are shutting down, some are blaming each other, some are blaming content, some are blaming CG for talking about these bad comics or bad decisions in comics. Fans obviously aren't showing up. I don't think I have the pulse of the industry here. I don't think I have like everybody's ear when it comes to what Marvel and DC are putting out. I hope I do. I hope you guys hit like, subscribe, ring the bell for notifications. But the reality is people hear about this stuff. It's not causing people to come to your shops. One bad decision follows another. Where does this road end?
So I want to point out this particular line from Ryan Higgins himself, though. He says, despite being in one of the most liberal areas in the country, our best-selling comics are all by middle-aged, straight white guys. My customers aren't buying Iceman or Tim Drake either. That's the reason those books get cancelled quickly, but Marvel and DC have to try. They're going to keep reaching out to new audience because the mid-40s straight white guys like myself eventually stop reading, usually when we're dead. Now, hold on a second. So you're telling me that you're supposed to eventually try and change Barbie doll in a way so that maybe you can appeal to some other demographic besides young girls or My Little Pony because of what you think that the audience will go away, guys. 40-year-old men, there'll be a new generation of them every single generation. They will keep coming back to certain interests at a certain age or whatever if it continues to appeal to them. It's like saying, well, this generation is dead. That's it. No more. I mean, what are you talking about? Horse-drawn carriages?
Yeah, and the weird thing is about the attack on the 40-year-old man customer is like not a bad customer because they have expendable income. They're not reliant on an allowance. Chances are around that age, their kid are kind of out of toys and stuff at that point, or maybe into them. I don't know, maybe into comics themselves. It's not like a lot of other fandom is like saying we don't want the 40-year-old money. It's only in the comic industry people are saying this, and I don't understand it because guess what? When they turn 50, there's another group of 40-year-olds. We're not making new 40-year-olds.
Let me point out this very important thing, though. Ryan, guess what? When the 40-year-old guy walks into your shop, he probably has a kid or teenagers that he's bringing into the shop. We have been to comic shops, and that's typically the case. A father in his 30s and 40s brings his children in. He picks up his comics. The children pick up their comics. Guess what? He just brought you a new generation of readers. If you
Yeah,
chase that 30, 40-year-old father out of the shop, I'm sorry, but where do you think the new generation is coming from? Oh, a 5-year-old is going to walk into your shop with their allowance to spend their $5 on one single floppy? Like, I don't think that's how it works anymore.
it's interesting in the days coming that I do think retailers are going to start snipping at one another more and more when people are really trying to wrestle and get their arms around what's actually the problem in the American comic book industry. And for some reason, it's taboo or your CG or whatever if you point out the actual material. For some reason, you can't attack the material. It's impossible that Marvel and DC have been making about 10 years of bad decisions that are driving customers away. That can't happen, right? No way the industry's been doing this. But if you guys will hit like, subscribe, ring the bell for notification. Also, Axcend Level Up is up on Indiegogo. This is our crowdfunded website. Go over here, check it out. You can also back it on Indiegogo if you don't want to do 9livescomics.com. If you guys will hit like, subscribe, ring the bell for notification. I'll leave you guys with a trailer for Axcend Level Up.
I dream of a world carefully crafted, beautifully flawed. This is Axcend. In this game of life, there is one thing that determines a victor. A player's ability to grow. A player's ability to evolve. A player's ability to survive. My name is Dog. Choose to play. Choose to upgrade. Choose to level up. Choose to Axcend.